The Iron Ridge pack territory stretched beneath a sky heavy with storm clouds, the kind that swallowed moonlight and left only shadows. Alpha Cale Thornridge stood at the edge of the Moon Gate, the ancient stone archway that marked the sacred boundary between his lands and the wilderness beyond. He'd ruled these mountains for 7 years, earning respect through strength and fairness. Yet loneliness clung to him like morning frost. Tonight, that loneliness shattered into horror. A woman hung from the gate's apex, her wrists bound with silver chains that burned angry red marks into her flesh. Blood streaked down her arms, dripping onto the sacred stones below. But it was her back that made Cale's wolf surge forward with protective fury, words carved deep into her skin, still weeping crimson. Traitor's mate. Cut her down, Kyle commanded, his voice rough as gravel. His beta, Marcus, hesitated. Alpha, she bears the mark of exile. Whoever did this wanted her found at our border as a warning. I don't care about warnings. Cut her down now. The woman's eyes fluttered open as they lowered her carefully. They were the color of storm-gray seas, unfocused with pain and blood loss. She tried to speak, but only a broken whimper escaped her cracked lips. Kyle caught her before she collapsed, ignoring the silver burn that seared his own hands. Her scent hit him then, wildflowers and rain, buried beneath layers of blood and fear. His wolf recognized something his mind refused to accept. Not a mate bond, but something equally rare, a Luna's aura, powerful and pure, now shattered into fragments. "Who did this to you?" Kyle asked softly, cradling her against his chest as he carried her toward his estate. "Rowan," she breathed, the name barely audible. "My mate. He said I betrayed. But I didn't. I swear on the moon goddess I didn't." Her body went limp, consciousness fleeing from the pain. Cale quickened his pace, barking orders to his pack. The healer would need wolfsbane antidote, silverburn salve, and stitching supplies. But more than that, he needed answers. The Iron Ridge estate rose from the mountainside, like a fortress of grey stone and timber, its windows glowing amber against the darkening sky. Cale kicked open the door to his private chambers, the place where no she-wolf had ever been permitted, and laid the stranger on his bed with surprising gentleness. His healer, old Marin, arrived within minutes, her weathered face creasing with concern as she examined the wounds. "Goddess have mercy," she whispered. "These marks were made with a ceremonial blade, Alpha. This wasn't just punishment. This was a formal rejection ritual." Kyle's jaw clenched. "Will she survive?" "Her body will heal if infection doesn't set in, but her wolf—" Marin shook her head. "A rejection this brutal, combined with silver poisoning and physical trauma? Her wolf may never recover. She could be broken permanently." The woman stirred, a soft cry escaping her lips as Marin cleaned the wounds. Kyle found himself reaching for her hand, offering what comfort he could to a complete stranger. Her fingers curled weakly around his, seeking anchor in the storm of agony. "What's your name?" he asked when her eyes opened again, clearer now but haunted. "Lyra," she whispered. "Lyra Ashwood. I used to be Luna of the Shadowpine Pack." Recognition sparked in Cale's mind. The Shadowpine Pack, ruled by Alpha Rowan Darkwater, lay 3 territories south. He'd met Rowan twice at Alliance Councils, a proud, ambitious wolf who spoke often of destiny and bloodlines. "Why would your mate do this?" Kyle pressed gently. Tears slipped down Lyra's temples. "His beta accused me of conspiring with rogues. Evidence appeared in my chambers. Letters, maps, silver weapons. I never saw them before, but Rowan. He believed his beta over me. He said I dishonored our bond, tainted his bloodline with treachery." Her voice broke. "He rejected me before the entire pack, made me kneel in the ceremonial circle while he carved those words into my skin with the Luna's blade. Then he had me dragged to your border and hung from the moon gate as a warning to anyone who might shelter a traitor." Rage burned through Cale's veins, hot and righteous. The mate bond was sacred, a gift from the moon goddess herself. To mutilate and exile one's mate based on accusations rather than proof violated every law of their kind. "You're safe here," Kyle said firmly. "No one will harm you in Iron Ridge territory. You have my word as Alpha. Lyra's grey eyes searched his face, looking for deception and finding only sincerity. Why would you protect me? You don't know if I'm truly innocent. My own mate didn't believe me. Your mate is a fool, Kyle growled, and I know enough. No wolf deserves this, guilty or innocent. But you're not guilty. I can sense it. How can you be sure? Because if you were truly a traitor, you wouldn't have invoked the moon goddess while unconscious. Dark hearts don't call to her name in their deepest pain. Chapter 2. Whispers in the Court. 3 weeks passed before Lyra could walk without assistance. The physical wounds healed slowly, leaving raised scars across her back that spelled out her shame for all to see. But the wound to her wolf ran deeper, a hollow space where her bond with Rowan had been violently severed, leaving her feeling incomplete and powerless. Cale visited her chambers every evening, bringing dinner and staying to talk. He learned she'd been an artist before becoming Luna, painting landscapes of forests under moonlight. She learned he'd lost his parents to a rogue attack when he was 19, forcing him to assume leadership before he was ready. "You never found your mate?" Lyra asked one night, sitting by the window with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. "No." Kyle stood beside her, looking out at the mountains. "I thought perhaps the moon goddess skipped me. Some alphas rule without mates. It's rare, but not unheard of. You must be lonely." The observation struck deeper than it should have. "I have my pack, my beta, my duties, it's enough." "Is it really?" Lyra turned to face him, moonlight catching the silver threads in her dark hair. "I can see it in your eyes, Cale. You carry the weight of leadership without anyone to share it with. That's a different kind of loneliness than mine." He met her gaze, struck by how much strength had returned to those storm-grey eyes. 3 weeks ago, she'd been broken, barely clinging to life. Now, despite everything, she radiated a quiet resilience that made his wolf stir with admiration. "Perhaps we're both lonely then," Kyle admitted softly. The moment stretched between them, charged with something neither dared name. Then Lyra looked away, breaking the spell. "Your pack members stare at me," she said, changing the subject. "I hear them whispering. They think I'm dangerous. They're cautious, not cruel. Give them time." But time brought complications Cale hadn't anticipated. Word of Lyra's presence spread beyond Iron Ridge borders. Within a month, a formal delegation arrived from the Shadowpine Pack, led by Beta Theron Blackwood, the same wolf who'd accused Lyra of treachery. Kyle received them in his great hall, seated on the Alpha's throne with Marcus flanking his right side. Theron was a tall, angular wolf with calculating amber eyes and a smile that never reached them. "Alpha Thornridge," Theron began, his tone oozing false courtesy. "We've come to retrieve the exile you're harboring. Lyra Ashwood is a condemned traitor who belongs in Shadowpine custody." "She's under my protection," Cale stated flatly, "and she bears your Alpha's rejection mark. Rowan severed all claims to her. She owes your pack nothing." "She owes us justice," Theron's smile sharpened. "Evidence of her crimes continues to surface. We have witness testimony placing her at meetings with known rogues. Surely you don't want a conspirator living freely in your territory. Show me this evidence. It's sealed under pack law, available only to Shadowpine leadership." "Convenient." Kyle leaned forward, his alpha aura radiating dominance. "You arrive at my borders demanding I surrender a wolf under my protection based on evidence I'm not permitted to examine. Do I look like a fool, Beta Theron?" Theron's jaw tightened. "Alpha Rowan will not be pleased by your interference." "Then Alpha Rowan should have thought twice before dumping his mutilated mate at my moongate like refuse. Her presence here is his doing, not mine." The delegation departed with barely concealed hostility, but Cale knew this wasn't over. Rowan Darkwater was too proud to let the matter rest, especially now that his decision was being questioned by another Alpha. That night Lyra found Cale in his study, staring at maps of the territories. "You shouldn't have antagonized them for my sake," she said quietly. "Shadowpine is a large pack. They could bring trouble to Iron Ridge. Let them try." Kyle looked up from his maps. "I don't bow to bullies, Lyra, and I certainly don't hand over innocent wolves to satisfy another Alpha's pride." "You really believe I'm innocent?" "I know you are." He stood, crossing to where she lingered in the doorway. "I've spent weeks watching you interact with my pack. You're gentle with pups, respectful to elders, kind to omegas. Those aren't traits of a conspirator. Lyra's eyes glistened with unshed tears. Rowan never looked at me the way you do. How do I look at you? Like you see me. Not the Luna title, not the mate bond, not what I could provide. Just me. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. It terrifies me, Kyle, because I'm broken. My wolf is shattered, my mate bond destroyed. I have nothing to offer you except trouble and scars. Kyle reached up slowly, giving her time to pull away, and cupped her face with surprising tenderness. You're not broken, Lyra, you're healing, and scars are proof of survival, not weakness. The kiss happened naturally, inevitable as moonrise, soft at first, testing boundaries, then deeper as Lyra's hands fisted in his shirt and pulled him closer. She tasted like hope and sorrow mixed together, and Kale's wolf howled with possessive satisfaction. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Lyra pressed her forehead against his chest. "This is dangerous," she murmured. "I know. Rowan will see it as theft. I don't care. You should." Lyra pulled back, though her hands remained on his shoulders. "Because I think I'm falling for you, Kale Thornridge, and that makes me more dangerous to you than any conspiracy ever could." Chapter 3. Blood Moon Rising. The challenge came with the Blood Moon, a rare celestial event when the moon turned crimson and pack laws permitted formal disputes to be settled through combat. Alpha Rowan Darkwater arrived at Iron Ridge borders with 50 warriors, all bearing the Shadowpine crest. Kale met them at the Moon Gate, his own fighters arranged in defensive positions. The air crackled with tension, 2 packs on the brink of war. Rowan dismounted his horse with practiced grace. He was handsome in a cruel way, sharp features, cold blue eyes, golden hair pulled back in a warrior's knot. Everything about him screamed entitled authority. "Alpha Thornridge," Rowan called out, "I invoke the right of Blood Moon challenge. You've stolen what belongs to me, and I demand satisfaction." "I've stolen nothing," Kyle replied calmly. "You threw away a treasure and now regret your haste. That's not my concern." "Lyra was my mate," was being the relevant word. "You rejected her, Rowan, carved your rejection into her flesh with ceremonial brutality. She owes you nothing." Rowan's mask of composure cracked, revealing the fury beneath. "She betrayed me, conspired with my enemies, based on evidence supplied by your beta, the same beta who I notice is conspicuously absent from this delegation." That struck home. Rowan's eyes flickered with something, doubt, suspicion, but his pride wouldn't let him back down, not in front of both packs. "I challenge you for her return," Rowan declared formally. "Single combat, under Blood Moon law. If I win, Lyra comes back to Shadowpine to face justice. If you win—" He paused, clearly not expecting to lose. "She remains under your protection." Kyle felt Lyra's presence before he saw her. She'd emerged from the estate, wrapped in a grey cloak, her eyes wide with fear, not for herself but for him. "Don't do this," she pleaded, reaching Kale's side. "He's a skilled fighter. He could kill you." "He won't." Kyle touched her cheek gently, aware of every wolf watching. "Trust me." Lyra grabbed his hand desperately. "Kyle, please. I'm not worth dying for." "You're worth everything." He kissed her forehead softly. "And I won't lose." The combat circle was drawn in the ceremonial clearing, a ring of torches surrounding packed earth where countless challenges had been settled over centuries. Both alphas stripped to their waists, preparing to fight in human form first, as tradition dictated. Wolf forms would only be permitted if both shifted simultaneously. The blood moon rose overhead, staining everything crimson. An elder from the neutral River Valley pack officiated, ensuring the rules were followed. At his signal, the fight began. Rowan attacked first, fast and aggressive, his fist aimed at Kale's jaw. But Kale had survived challenges from rogues, rival alphas, and worse. He dodged, countered, and landed a solid blow to Rowan's ribs that made the Shadowpine alpha grunt. They circled each other, trading strikes. Rowan fought with technique and pride, every move calculated to impress. Kale fought with purpose, every block and counter designed to protect what he now cherished. "She was never yours," Rowan snarled between blows. "The moon goddess gave her to me." "The moon goddess gave you a gift," Kale growled back, landing a punch that split Rowan's lip. "And you destroyed it because your pride mattered more than truth. I had evidence. You had lies." Kyle seized the opening, driving Rowan backward. "Evidence planted by a beta who wanted power for himself. When did you become so blind?" The words hit harder than any physical blow. Rowan's rhythm faltered, doubt creeping into his eyes. In that moment of hesitation, Kyle struck, not with lethal force but with enough power to send Rowan crashing to the ground. Kyle planted his foot on Rowan's chest, asserting dominance. "Yield. Never." Rowan's wolf surged forward, forcing the shift. Kyle shifted in response, his black wolf larger and more powerful than Rowan's tawny beast. They collided with bone-jarring force, teeth and claws flashing in the blood moon's light. The watching packs howled, primal instincts responding to the display of alpha power. But the fight's outcome was inevitable. Kale's wolf fought for love, Rowan's fought for ego. When Kale finally pinned Rowan's wolf by the throat, teeth pressing just hard enough to make surrender the only option, the Shadowpine alpha went still. Kale released him, shifting back to human form. "It's over, Rowan. Accept your defeat with whatever dignity you have left." Rowan shifted back, blood streaming from multiple wounds. For a long moment, he simply lay there, staring up at the crimson moon. When he finally spoke, his voice was hollow. "She really was innocent, wasn't she?" "Yes. And I destroyed her because he just used your pride against you," Kyle finished. "Where is your beta, Rowan? Why didn't he accompany you tonight?" Realization dawned across Rowan's face like a sick sunrise. "He stayed behind, said he needed to secure the territory while I was gone." His voice cracked. "Gods, he's probably already declaring himself alpha, claiming I abandoned my pack for a traitor mate." Kyle extended his hand. "Then you'd better get back before he consolidates power. And when you do, you'll investigate those conspiracy charges properly, with witnesses from neutral packs if necessary." Rowan took the offered hand, allowing Kale to pull him up. "If Theron fabricated everything, if Lyra was innocent and I—" He couldn't finish, the weight of his actions crushing him. "Then you'll live with that knowledge," Kyle said quietly. "As you should." Chapter 4. Moonlight's Promise. The week following the Blood Moon Challenge brought unexpected developments. Rowan returned to Shadowpine territory to find Beta Theron had indeed attempted a coup, rallying young warriors with promises of stronger leadership. The confrontation ended with Theron's exile, and a full investigation that revealed the depth of his conspiracy. Evidence emerged of Theron meeting with rogues, not Lyra. Forged letters in Lyra's handwriting that an expert confirmed were clever fakes. Witness testimony from pack members who'd been threatened or bribed into silence. Everything Theron had accused Lyra of, he himself had done, using her as a scapegoat to remove her influence and destabilize Rowan's rule. A formal letter arrived at Iron Ridge Estate, sealed with Shadowpine's crest. Kyle brought it to Lyra, finding her in the gardens where she'd begun painting again, her first artwork since the rejection. "It's from Rowan," Kyle said gently. Lyra's hands trembled as she opened it. The letter was short but heavy with remorse. "Lyra, no words can undo what I've done. The investigation proved your innocence beyond doubt. Theron has been exiled, his crimes exposed. Your name has been cleared before the entire pack. I cannot ask your forgiveness, I don't deserve it. But I can offer what little I have left, a formal acknowledgement that the rejection was unjust, that you were always innocent, and that any wolf who speaks against your honor will answer to me. You deserved better than what I gave you. I hope you found it." Rowan tears streamed down Lyra's face, but they weren't tears of longing. They were tears of closure, the final release of a chapter that had brought only pain. "He's right," she whispered. "I did find better." Kale wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "Stay with me, Lyra, not as an exile under protection, but as my choice, my partner, my—" "Don't say mate," Lyra interrupted quickly. "The moon goddess already chose for me once. That bond is severed forever. I can't give you what fate would have provided. I don't want fate's choice." Kyle turned her gently to face him. "I want mine. The bond between us isn't written in destiny, it's built on respect, trust, and choice. That makes it stronger, not weaker. But you're an alpha. You deserve a Luna with an intact wolf, someone who can— I deserve you, Kyle said firmly. Scarred, healing, powerful you. Your wolf may be wounded, but it's not broken. I've seen you, Lyra. I've watched you grow stronger every day. Reclaim pieces of yourself that Rowan tried to destroy. That's not weakness. That's courage that would put most alphas to shame. Lyra searched his face, finding only honesty and determination. You're sure? Because once I accept, once I become part of Iron Ridge as more than a refugee, there's no going back. You'll be bound to me by choice, not destiny. I've never been more certain of anything. Cale cupped her face with both hands. I love you, Lyra Ashwood, not because the moon ordained it, but because you're brilliant and resilient and kind. Because you see me as more than just an alpha. Because when I imagine my future, you're in every part of it. The kiss was different from their first, less desperate, more certain. A promise rather than a question. When they broke apart, Lyra was smiling through her tears. I love you too, she whispered. My lonely alpha who found me hanging broken at his gate and gave me back my life. Then stay. Choose me the way I choose you. Yes. Lyra laughed, the sound bright and free. Yes, I'll stay. I'll be your partner, your chosen Luna, your— Mine, Kyle finished, pulling her close. Just mine. That night, the Iron Ridge Pack gathered for an impromptu celebration. The news of Lyra's official acceptance into the pack and her relationship with their alpha spread quickly, met with approval from most and acceptance from the rest. Old Marin declared it about time, while Marcus simply grinned and said he'd never seen his alpha this happy. Under the light of a normal silver moon, no longer blood-red but gentle and clear, Kyle and Lyra stood before the pack. There was no formal ceremony, no ancient rituals or destined bonds. Just two wolves who'd found each other through pain and chose to build something new from the wreckage. I know many of you were uncertain when Lyra first arrived, Kyle addressed his pack. She came to us marked as a traitor, rejected and broken. But she's proven her strength, her character and her worth. She's been cleared of all charges by Shadowpine's own investigation, and more importantly, she's earned a place here not through fate, but through her own courage. Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. I'll never be a traditional Luna. My wolf bears scars that won't fully heal, but I promise to serve this pack with everything I have, to protect it, support it, and honor the chance you've all given me to start again. The pack's howl of acceptance rose into the night sky, dozens of voices joining in harmony, welcoming their alpha's chosen mate. It wasn't destiny. It wasn't fate. It was something better. Choice, freely made and fiercely protected. Later, alone in Cale's chambers, Lyra traced the scars on her own back while studying her reflection. The words, traitor's mate, had faded but remained visible, a permanent reminder of her past. They don't define you, Kyle said, coming up behind her. They're just proof of what you survived. I used to hate them. Now— Lyra smiled softly. Now I see them as the end of one story and the beginning of another. The story of a lonely alpha who found a woman hanging from the moon gate and chose to give her a future instead of judgment. The story of a remarkable woman who refused to stay broken, Cale corrected, wrapping his arms around her waist. Who taught a lonely alpha that sometimes the best things in life aren't given by fate, they're chosen by brave hearts. Outside, the moon shone clear and bright over Iron Ridge territory. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, rival packs, political complexities, the ongoing work of leadership. But tonight, two wolves who'd found each other against all odds simply held each other close, grateful for the choice they'd made. The moon goddess worked in mysterious ways, Cale thought. Perhaps she hadn't given him a destined mate because she knew he needed to find Lyra, not through divine intervention, but through the simple act of having enough compassion to cut down a broken stranger from his gate. And Lyra, running her fingers through Cale's dark hair as he rested his head against her shoulder, thought perhaps her first mate bond breaking wasn't an ending after all. It was a necessary breaking point that led her to something deeper, a love built on choice, respect, and the daily decision to keep choosing each other. In the world of werewolves, where destiny and fate ruled supreme. They'd created something rare, a bond that answered to no one but themselves.